Welcome to this week's Tech Show, where we've got fresh rubber, an exceedingly good hardtail from Canyon, a new XC fork from Fox, and much, much more. Is Downcountry dead? Has Fox just killed Downcountry? Their newest XC race fork is now a Downcountry race, so it's got more travel than XC's previously ever had. It's got 130 millimetres of travel. So with XC needing more travel, doesn't this just mean that Downcountry is dead? Okay, Downcountry. The origins are a little bit murky. I did hear it was a joke from a certain mini enthusiast and UFO spotter. I mean, I've heard in a similar genre of kind of chats as Freeride Lite. But all at once, it was a segment and brands were investing, and yeah, Downcountry was a thing. So, trailhead chat and shop floor jokes aside, I feel that we can blame the Canadians for this. In a good way, I'll explain. BC, British Columbia, the trails are tough, and it's really easy to plot Freeride's world domination from those cedar skinnies that were created in the very distinct Freeride North Shore culture. Or should that be cult? Yeah, but BC has got regular trails too, and although those are burlier than many, and whilst there had been sort of tougher 50-mile races in that neck of the woods before, like the Samurai of single track, I feel it was the BC bike race, this stage race on gnarly, burly trails, that really stuck this genre of these sort of like a bike capable for big single track loops into the media and into the brand's minds. Rocky Mountain Bicycles is a very, very storied brand, and yep, they had the first freeride team, or one of the first. Oh, sorry, not freeride, just heard from the lawyer, Fro Riders. They sponsored many, many amazing races in cross country and in downhill and in enduro too. And I feel though it could be their BC edition iterations of their XC bikes that first sowed the seeds of this whole, well, Downcountry. So BC to DC, if you like. The BC edition bikes often had a burlier fork, they had a burlier bar and stem setup, and they often had grippier front tyre and, in general, higher volume tyres. I know, they're subtle tweaks, but at the time when many brands' XC bikes were more short on travel and even shorter on fun, these were rad XC bikes. Okay, so we've got a sort of rough time and place when this Downcountry genre started, and now I'm pronouncing it dead. Oof, that's pretty heavy, isn't it? I mean, I'll explain. I mean, I do feel like we sort of like peaked all the subgenres of mountain bikes, but here's my logic on why Downcountry, I think, is dead. We used to strongly define each bike genre by fork and suspension travel. I mean, some German magazines were real sticklers for it. I remember I went on a press camp when I was a journalist many, many years ago, and I dared to wear baggy shorts on a cross-country product shoot. And I got told by several German journalists that, no, I'm wearing the wrong clothes for this segment. This is an XC only, because this bike is between 90 and 110 millimetres of travel, so it is only XC. I tried to explain that I might ride it on a trail ride, and it was like, no, this is not correct. So, back to all those genres. We had these travel indicators to flag what travel meant for what bike. So 80 to 110 mil was XC, maybe 130 to 150 was trail, or maybe all mountain, and then we had 150 to 170, this is all in millimetres of travel. We had enduro, and of course there was super enduro, and the list is pretty much endless. And well, XC bikes were sort of locked into this really narrow band of travel, and then Downcountry comes stepping in. And well, now a major fork brand has blown all of that logic out of the water, or should I say off the trail. So this new Fox 34 SL is, well, 130mm travel fork, and it's designed for XC. I've heard XC racers talking about how this 130 fork is better for cross-country race because they like the extra cush. So if XC is now 130mm of travel, surely that means that Downcountry is dead. I mean, what does it also mean for all those brands that have already got Downcountry style products? Victoria, for example, they're ahead of the curve. They released the Sierra in 2022, a 2.4 high volume grippy tyre. I mean, at the time it was probably a bit too big for cross country. Fast forward to a little over 12 months ago from now, and Victoria have released not one but two XC tyres in that same high volume format, in that 2.4. So maybe the brands were sort of like pushing things along, more so than, well, XC racers. But geometry has got a similar story too. So far too long, XC hardtails had a geometry that was, well, closer to a road bike. I mean, some gravel bikes were actually slacker, which is bonkers. But now with Oumbareh and Canyon just as examples, they've got hardtails with good slack head angles. And, well, XC has been nudged. Is it from the trail riders wanting a better bike, or is it from gravel bikes that have gotten more progressive? That is up to you to decide. But I think all of these changes mean that, well, Downcountry's dead. XC is the new king or queen. Let me know your thoughts on this in the comments below. Last week, Canyon introduced an all-new entry-level hardtail, the impressive-looking Grand Canyon. And this week, we see the release of an all-new Exceed. The Exceed is the XC Racer's hardtail of choice. And what have we got on this new one? Well, totally revised geometry, which includes a 67-degree head angle, which, well, slackers the fork off, means that it's a bit more competent, especially a bit more composed, I guess, especially when things get steep. The Exceed has built a cult following in ultra racing bikepacking circles, and now with 3 750ml water bottles on the frame, apart from on the extra small, might cement it further. So the new bike has got a lower standover height, but they've thought about it when they're designing it, because those bikepackers, they love putting a frame bag on the inside. And with that in mind, the Canyon designers have maintained the front triangle volume. It's also got integrated storage in the down tube, so it provides a place where you can put all your tools that isn't going to take up space for, well, all the clothes and all the other bikepacking stuff that you might need to. In terms of all the other specs, it's good stuff. We've got a universal derailleur hanger, we've got frame protection built in as well. We've got a BSA threaded bottom bracket, internal cable routing via the upper headset cap. We've also got an integrated protection unit, so it prevents the handlebars from turning too far, sort of over-rotating and damaging the top tube. Clearance for 2.4-inch tyres, so pretty standard for a modern cross-country bike. Pricings for the CF5 start at €1,999. And with the models, because there's a whole range of them, you've got some really nice colour options. You've got Berlin Sky Grey, Azurio Cello Blue, or Cosmos Black. Very nice. Fox, the suspension brand, have been super busy with a range of new forks. And first up to be released is the all-new 34SL. So no step cast anymore, and it's got more bushing overlap, should be stiffer, and it's got inboard rather than outboard bypass channels. That's to do with the air spring, and it should make it work better. Big headline though is it's got more travel. The design is visually very different. It's got an organic arch shape, which has been designed, Fox tell us, through generative development, which means a sort of CAD model gets all the loading points given to it, and then it just designs lots of different versions and creates the optimized form. So it should be lighter, should be stiffer. Although to my eyes, they're sort of drawn to the holes in the top of the crown where you can see the garter seal. So that's the seal that's on the stanchion and is sort of on the lower and helps seal the fork innards from everything outside. And where previously that front edge, you couldn't see the garter seal from the front view of the fork, but now you can. So yeah, that must be lighter though, so that's good. I guess, yeah, maybe CAD didn't sort of work or factor in mud. But again, it is lighter, so that's a good thing. And weight-wise, it's impressive. The low weight claimed by Fox is 1,475 grams, but that's also with it being 17% stiffer and offering more tyre clearance, now up to 2.5. Kind of interestingly, it now only fits a 180 rotor. So previously it would have fitted a 160 and then you'd have to put an adapter to take it up to 180, but now 180 straight away. Some other nice little details too. They've copied RockShox, who sort of copied Shimano, which is using the Shimano cassette tool to undo the air side, opposed to having a hex on the outside. So it's nicer, it's neater. Back to those long travels though. So 110, 120 and 130, so it's optional throughout the range of forks. Travel changes do require an air spring, but I think it's just interesting that we've got no 100mm fork in this. In terms of trim, we've got factory, we've got performance elite, and we've got just performance. There's 3 different dampers: grip, grip X and grip SL. Pricing, so we've got pounds, euros and US dollars. It's a bit of a muddle, but in UK pounds, we're starting at £750 up to 1,259. In euros, we go from 869 up to 1,469. And then in US dollars, starting prices are $650 up to $1,100. So yeah, what are your thoughts on the open arch design? And what about 180 as a new XC disc standard? But perhaps there's another light, super light, pure flat bar gravel / XC fork coming. Let me know your thoughts. Swedish helmet brand Paik have an all-new mountain bike helmet, the Kularis. Kulo? I don't know how you say it. Let me know in the comments how I should be pronouncing it. Looks-wise, well, it kind of looks like a Paik, and I quite like the look, but there's more to the aesthetic than just the whim of the Swedish design team. No, apparently safety steers the design, look and feel, which is quite interesting. There's an aramid bridge between the helmet liner and the shell for improved structural stability, and Paik says a reduction in penetrative projection. Maybe that should be an increase, so it reduces the penetration. Anyway, weird terms, I've got to say. It's got a MIPS air node, so that's where instead of having a MIPS slide liner, the little pads on the MIPS system are the slide liner. It's got a CFD optimized ventilation system, so that means it's computer-aided design to help the airflow. And it's lightweight, 359 grams in a medium. It's got what Paik call an eye garage, which is effectively somewhere where you can wedge your glasses. And the peak is a breakaway design, so it just pops off under impact. You've got 3 sizes and 9 matte colours. And probably most interesting is that it's got a Virginia Tech 5-star rating. Price starts at $240 US or 230 euros. Continental, they're expanding their popular gravity range with more sizes, more grip and, well, potentially more shred. It's often the case, or should that be casing, that the newest tyres formats don't make it back to the older standards, but Conti have introduced a lot of new sizes for their popular if pricey trail, enduro and DH tyres. There's also a new casing and compound option, and there's a lot of options, so it is a bit of a kind of like mind melt, so just bear with me. So first, there's a slimmer DH and enduro casing option in a 29er by 2.35 in the Krdum and Argo. And that's kind of interesting, but I think what's probably more interesting is that we now have trail casing and endurance compound in 20-inch and 24-inch by 235. We've also got an enduro casing and soft compound in 26 by 235, and that's both in the Krdum front and rear tread pattern, so that's 2 tyres in itself. But yeah, really exciting. 26 is back, and for kids' bikes you can get proper grippy tyres. Interesting. There's some more 29er tyres, 2.6 in both the trail and endurance casing, but the soft compound. There's also a Krdum DH soft in a 27.5 by 2.6 and a Zynotal in a trail endurance in the same 27.5 by 2.6. Okay, that is a lot of numbers, but I think for me the headline is that, yeah, 650B or 275 gets some good tyres, and so does 26. Pricing. Okay, I searched, I couldn't find any pricing. The current structure on pricing, which I feel like will be a very high point, I think all of these tyres will probably be a little bit cheaper, but DH casing from Conti is £85 UK, enduro casing is £75, and the trail casing is £70. But as soon as we get pricing for those 24-inch and all those other wheels, tyre sizes, we'll let you know. An all-new product from Crank Brothers. Okay, their first product, might surprise you, it wasn't actually a pedal. It was a tyre lever. So they are innovators, and they've got an all-new product which flags their innovation. So the Guardian handguard, as you can guess from the name, is designed to fit on your bars and boost protection against all sorts of trail debris. They're kind of like a moto-style guard, so there's quite a few on the market already, but these ones offer quite a lot more. So first, there's lots of adjustment. 33mm per side to adjust. There's 2 mounting positions to work with 2 different brake positions of different levers. There's also an extension, so you can kind of extend it out if you've got bigger or longer hands. Material-wise, the arm is made from glass-filled nylon, and the guard is hip. It's not just sort of like being hips to hip, it's high impact polypropylene, and they come in at 177 grams. I think where it's really clever is the mounting system, or the options of those mounting systems. I think that's where we've had sort of these hand guards before, but this one is really innovative. So the inner clamp collar of your lock-on grip can be the lock-on for this handguard, which is really clever. There's lots of different shims to work with, lots and lots of grips. So 5 shims, which should cover 16 different grips. So it means, well, you don't actually have to have an extra clamp on your bar. You can just use the grip one, which is going to save quite a lot of space. Also interesting, 5-year warranty. Pricing for these ones starts at $59.99 US. Okay, cool Cool stuff we've seen this week. We've got an all-new frame, and it's something very different. This is from Northern Iron's OG gravel brand, which is Fossil. Fossil had their Causeway bike super early to the market, and it was alloy, and the geometry was really progressive, which shouldn't be that surprising because Ali Beckett, the guy behind the design, used to work at Nukeproof, and he used to be a DH mechanic, so he knows a thing about making a good bike. But this bike, the Lakelander, is all new. We've got a carbon frame, we've got a carbon fork, and it's got a little trick hidden up its seat stay, which is a little linkage. So it's really smoothing. It's like a soft tail. Geometry is a bit tighter as well, so a little bit more racy. And there's 3 sizes, which should cover from 5'2" or 156 centimetres up to 6'2" or 188 centimetres. Pricing for this new Lakelander frame start at $1,999. The classic Causeway, still available, frame only from $899. That's all UK pounds. My favourite is the Avo Green. It's very nice. Finally, on stuff we saw this week is this really cool remix of a Forbidden Druid. So it's like a Druid SL, if you like. So this is from Tom Morgan. He's a friend of Forbidden Bikes, and he's built this bike, or well, rebuilt it. He started with a paint shave, and he's focused on lightweight but dependable parts, specifically to build it for, well, big and burly multi-day off-road stage races like, well, Tour Divide and Atlas Mountain race, so really big stuff. So the paint shave saved him 260 grams. He's got a shorter stroke shock in there, which achieves about 120 mil of travel versus 130. And he's paired it to a 120 mil travel SID fork to balance out the geometry. Total weight of this one, just 24.6 pounds or 11.2 kgs. Impressive stuff. And I've got to say, I love the sort of like blacked out but gloss but matte and those Vittoria tyres. And I think this bike looks banging. Let me know in the comments below if you like it too. Quiz time. Last week, I asked you, well, actually it was the week before. So it was a bit confusing on timeline, but essentially I asked a question a couple of weeks ago about a Met helmet using racer who's famous for his tuft. That's tuft of hair. One commenter didn't know what a tuft was. I'm sorry about that. Yeah. Essentially, he's very good on a road bike, and I asked the question, what race, and well, who is he, and what race did he most recently win? And yes, at the time, he'd won the Strade Bianche, and it was Tadej Pogačar. He is very, very good on a bike, and we got 9 winners there, so well done to Tim, well done to Pain Rides a Bike, well done to all of you, so great work. Okay, another question. Sort of fork related, this one. Can you name the orange, effectively now Fox-related, iconic fork that the Fro Riders rode on? It was the original freeride fork, coil and oil, that's a good clue. In its day, it was exceedingly long travel. Okay, so I need to know the brand and the model name of that fork. Let me know in the comments below. Okay, now it's time for a rewind. We've got a fantastic bike here. This is from David Broadbent, and it reminds me of a video that I did on a kind of futuristic, retro-futuristic bike. That was a Manitou FS, but this is a Marilyn Pine FRS, and he's completely rebuilt it, taking it down to the bare frame, bare components, polished, cleaned, repainted. I think it just looks amazing. It's from 1993, and yeah, Manitou Pine FRS. And it's going to be used as a pub bike. Gee, that is a blingy pub bike, but it's also going to be on display at retro cycling shows around the UK. Maybe at Malvern's. We shall see. If you've got a retro rewind, if you've got a top mod, if you've got anything that you'd like to send us, well, use the uploader in the description box just below. Okay, now time for my favourite part of the show, which is the comments. Why do I love the comments? It's not the reading out bit, it's the interacting with you. So if you've got thoughts on today's show, do you think Downcountry's dead, for example? Join the debate in the comments. And we've got some comments. This is from last week's show where we talked about, is this pointless or is it going to be the next big thing? And I was talking about the Specialized factory downhill team using, well, wheel balancing on a downhill bike. And there was quite a lot of discussion, to be fair. Tim Sadler, hi Tim, one of our favourites, he was saying it'll creep into the pits and it'll be a psychological benefit for the riders that buy into it. Do you remember those sensor systems? And he talks about a Swiss company who made, well, magic stickers, which did spread through the pits in downhill and cross country, a little bit like a virus. Lone chasers, all the blue trail riders with 10k bikes are going to be all about this. Interesting. I mean, look, if they're into it, that's great. Great one here from Huckett. He spent 10 years racing professional motocross, and wheel balancing is nonsense. Doesn't happen. Sean in the Canyon, there was a lot of debate on this topic, so it was really fun. If you haven't kind of joined in that conversation, do. Sean in the Canyon, hi Sean, we've chatted to him quite a bit before. He was replying to somebody else, and he was saying that he used to race pro motocross. He also raced in the desert, so the sort of Baja stuff. And Baja stuff and other desert racing is extremely fast, 110 miles per hour on a motocross bike. That's wild. And Sean in the Canyon is saying, no, don't need to balance wheels because you're off-road, there isn't that contact patch. For Supermoto, lots more contact, he does use balance beams. Silver Shamrock seems pretty pointless if you're running tubeless. This is a discussion where the tubeless sealant will either offset or balance it. It was a very fun conversation. Paul Grimshaw has got a really good response. He was coming back to me because I was saying about, what about tyre sealant? And he was saying, oh, well, if it stays fluid, then actually it'll probably add as a damper. And he was kind of saying it's quite funny when people buy really, really expensive wheels and then just pour in, 100ml, 200ml, 300ml of sealant thinking that more is better. No, too much is too much. Okay, I think that is enough of that discussion. I did raise another brief topic, which was just about, are we happy being called nerds? Because someone had kind of mentioned that they didn't like me talking to all of you and saying that you're nerdy too. But lots of people, Glenn Hunt, Chalky555, all were happy in getting nerdy. So if you're not happy with being nerdy, flag it. I'll not call you nerdy or dorky, but in general, it was positive. And another comment, this is from a comment from a video we did about 3 weeks ago. A lot of time travel on this comment section, but this was from Captain Cool Pants. He was talking about weight limits and should we do more in terms of some videos about, well, building for burlier riders. And short version is hell yeah. Huge response from you all out there. Amy or AmVemC is saying that, yep, there's lots of people who are limited by maximum weights of products. It'd be great. Lots of brands are kind of only 110. He says he's got experience of Nikolai, whose their weight limit is 160 kilos. This is for a whole system weight. Mike McBride, he wants more as well. So it feels like, in the future, we're going to do something in that space because there's lots of riders that, are over that weight limit and want to know how to set their bikes up for the best. Okay, that is the comments. And again, if you've got something to say about this week's show or any of the shows, we did that disc brake one over the weekend that got people heated up, join the debate, join the comments down below. Okay, what shows are we looking forward to this next coming week? Well, very excitingly, we're going to Taipei. The tech show travels. So we'll see all the new high-tech stuff straight from Taiwan.